CEO of the Foundations for Defense of Democracies. We're delighted to have back on the show Mark Dubowitz. Mark, it's good to see you again. This breaking news coming in. The Jerusalem Post, Mark, is reporting that 500 former Israeli military commanders, top military veterans in Israel, telling Israel's prime minister, do this deal now with Hamas terrorists. Offer them free passage out of Gaza in exchange for hostages. And if they don't take it, we will annihilate you. What do you think of this news coming in?
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me back on. Look, I think it's a good idea in concept, but it really matters where they go. They need to go to places where the Israeli Mossad can find them and kill them. I think that to allow these people safe passage around the world where they can plot terrorist attacks, not only against Israelis, but also against Americans, against Europeans. There have been terrorist plots that have been uncovered in Denmark and in Germany and in Holland recently would be a recipe for disaster. But yeah, so sure, expel them from Gaza and let them go to places where Mossad can find them and take care of them. Got it.
And so we've got this story. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, he's traveling to Israel to meet with Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu. You know, Mark, there's an apparent split, a rift appears to be growing between the U.S. and the White House and Israel. You know, the U.S. is targeting Hamas with new sanctions. But there's mixed messages about doing a ceasefire. John Kirby, he says a ceasefire with a terror group like Hamas is not the answer. You know, the thing is, Mark, many are demanding Israel do a ceasefire. Why don't they ask that Hamas terror leaders stand down, that Hamas terrorists surrender and get out of Gaza, and finally liberate and give Palestinians the freedoms they've deserved for so long?
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, look, Hamas is responsible for every civilian casualty, Palestinian and Israeli. Hamas should surrender, lay down their weapons, and as you said, some of them can leave Gaza and find refuge somewhere else. But the fact of the matter is the Biden administration is starting to pressure the Israelis to take unnecessary risks. More Israeli soldiers are getting killed, and all of this to serve the president's 2024 political calendar because of the immense pressure that he is under from his progressive wing of the party. And again, this is to go from the president's extortion that Israel must kill Hamas and destroy Hamas to where we are today, unfortunately, has been a long climb down and a massive climb down.
You know, Mark, it's really an unserious position to say simply go back to a two-state solution when Hamas's own charter says genocide. Hamas's own charter says annihilate Israel. You can't do a two-state solution with Hamas leaders who say we're going to, kill the other state. Hamas is an avowed enemy of peace. The status quo with them is not working. Change is inevitable, Mark. Should moderate Arab nations who signed up for Trump's Abraham Accords, can they work on a confederation where, these Palestinians, again, that they gain the freedoms and rights and are liberated from Hamas terrorism? Can there be kind of a controlling authority, but confederation with these Arab nations who are in the, the Abraham Accords to do that? What do you think?
Look, it's a possibility. I mean, I'd like to remind your viewers that there is a Palestinian state. It's called Jordan. It happens to be an authoritarian state. If the Jordanians actually gave democracy to their citizens, the majority of Jordanians are Palestinian, they would vote to become a Palestinian state, and perhaps there would be a controlling authority. The second issue is this two-state delusion, unfortunately, has been pursued for decades. The Israelis withdrew every troop, every civilian, every grave from Gaza. Hamas took over and turned it into Hamastan, into a terror state. They withdrew from the West Bank, and the Palestinians have turned the West Bank into a terror state. It's failed over and over again, and the definition of insanity is repeating the same mistake over and over again.
Got it. Mark, thank you so much. Good to see you. Coming up, Congressman Tim